Good morning, Starshines. My name is DH, my pronouns are they, them, and I play cozy games. And I knit, and crochet, and do a bit of bullet journaling, and some other stuff too. Every Monday evening on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/thecozydh, is our weekly crafty chat. Bring your project, bring something to stay hydrated with, but most importantly, just bring yourself. Each week, I'll post highlights from the stream, any tips I give, or just showing off what I'm working on. To see more and join the conversation, follow me on Twitch to know when Crafty Chat goes live, and then join us. I can't wait to see you. So, welcome. We are doing our Crafty Chat. We are just going to be listening to a little bit of music, doing some crafting. I've got some stuff to show and tell for you. And we're going to have a good time. So if you're out there in chat, any of you have any questions, I see that Toot has been having fun with our commands there. Today on the Critter Cam, we have Kitty City, where you will see several of our little beasties. And the acronym of the day is SSK. So come up with as many meanings for SSK as you can possibly consider. Yes, some sus kitties kicking us right off. So tonight's project, and I've added a new command to Nightbot. So if you are curious about what I'm working on and I'm not talking about it at the moment, you can do !project, and you will get the details on whatever I happen to be, whatever is my focus project. Since I will be showing a few different things on stream, it might not be exactly what's being shown, but it'll be what I'm working on the majority of the time. So thank you to Toot, who just tried that out. Show some knits. Yes, that's a perfect description of SSK for us. So right now I am working on this sweater. It is the Flax Pullover by Tin Can Knits. You can tell it's a flax by the raglan construction and the signature garter panel on the arms. Flax is a fantastic pattern. It's free, and it's sized in pretty much any size you could want. It goes up to higher than my size, which is really not common. So it's a raglan sweater. I like using the flax pattern as just a standard raglan pattern. I can adjust it as needed, but this time I actually went with the garter stripe for the flax. The yarn is 2 strands of loops and thread shimmer shawl held together. So I've got my little cake here. So you can see it's 2 threads, 2 strands held together. And this yarn is a self-striping yarn. So as it stripes separately, it's creating these like sort of gradient marling effect. So really the yarn is doing all the heavy lifting for this sweater. I'm doing very little myself. I started this about 9 months ago when I first got sick. So I'd really like to get it finished in the next month and a half or so. I've done the yoke and about 7 inches of the body. I like to do a 17-inch body altogether, so I've got maybe 9 more inches of stockinette, and then I'll do an inch of rib because rib is irritating and heck doing rib. So another maybe 9 inches of stockinette, and then we'll do the rib, and then we'll see how much yarn we have left. Because in addition to this cake that it's currently connected to, I have this cake, and the yarn itself was discontinued probably in 2019. So I have very little chance of getting any more. So we're going to do the body, and then we're going to split whatever we have left into 2 cakes and work on the sleeves from there. So we'll see. It's probably going to be a short sleeve shirt. I don't even think I have enough to do 3/4 length, which is my preferred shirt length. So we'll see how long they end up being. I'm hoping if I can get the rest of the body out of this cake, which I'm not holding out hope, but if I can do the rest of the body out of this and then split this in 2 for the sleeves, we should be able to get some decent length on the sleeves. So It's going really fast because I'm using 2 strands held together. It's on a 5mm. It's just kind of flying off the needles. So that's what we're working on tonight. If you were here last week, last Monday, I was working on a colorwork sweater, which I actually finished since our last stream. So I was working on the bottom ribbing of this sweater on our last stream. This is the Vipera Day by, calm down, by Clara Cecilia Knits. So it's a lovely round yoke sweater. And if you remember from last week, it actually had quite a high ribbed neck. I modified it after I finished it into this low V-neck. Well, it's not that low. It's a little bit, it's a V-neck. It isn't super low, unfortunately. So I just modified the neckline a little bit to make it more comfortable. So it's got this beautiful snake motif repeated around the yoke. The yarn I use for this is Hobby Amigo, which is a DK weight acrylic from Hobby. And it's a solid, actually. So I used cast iron for the main and then 6 different colors for the rainbow. So this isn't a gradient yarn. It's just striped. Hello, Bubby. Hello. We have to get off Mama's sweater. Ooh, okay. That's why we have to get off Mama's sweater. Okay. Yeah, keep moving. That's a good girl. This was, that was my early. She's come to help us. So this is the sweater. It's got a lovely corrugated rib. This is what you get when you come to Monday Night Craft. It's no longer show some knits, it's show some kitties. Oh no. Well, Binks has joined the party. Binks enters the chat. So this sweater has this lovely corrugated rib that maybe the cats will let me show you, which was a 1x1 knitted rib, but the pearls were done in the color work. So I did that for the cuffs and also for the high early. Also for the sleeves. I'm really pleased with this neckline because, like I said, it was a ribbed neckline, which went all the way up to here originally. So what I did was I just picked up stitches in this V shape. You can't really see them because they're pretty invisible in this dark gray yarn, but there's short row shaping at the back of the neck. So I picked up stitches from the V-neck and then over the top of the short rows so that it will sit a little bit higher on the shoulders. Picked up stitches, knit about just an inch of rib, bound off, and then what I did was I just cut away the extra fabric and reinforced it with a crocheted reinforcement as if I was doing a steek. So I set up Kitty City for us this evening. I don't think the cats got the message that they're supposed to be on the camera in the other room. They just want to be on this camera. So this is Early, who's on camera right now. She is white and gray. She is about 11 years old. And she is just being a little love bug. Usually she's asleep right next to me. So I can actually show you what the sweater looked like originally. So up at the top, you can see what the neckline looked like originally. This was a test knit for Clara Cecilia Knitwear. So I obviously had to do the pattern exactly. to the designer specs, which had the several inches of 1x1 rib at the top, which was just a little bit too high for Toot, who the sweater is for. So you can see the before and after here. So like I said, I picked up the stitches around the edge of the collar, knit the rib, bound it off, and then just cut away the extra fabric and reinforced the part where I cut with a crochet reinforcement as if I was doing a steek, which I basically did. I did take the scissors to my knitting. This entire collar had just came off in one chunk and was lying on the desk. It was actually a little bit frightening. So as always, if you have any questions about what I'm working on or something you're working on, if you need help with anything, absolutely let me know. That's part of what I'm here for. I originally was running this Crafty chat in a Discord server, and I had originally envisioned it as somewhere where people could, just grab something to work on, hang out with other people who are working on something as well, just relax, chat, or even just lurk. Lurking is good. We like lurkers. But also, if you were struggling with a project, if you needed some feedback and you didn't have that kind of community that you could go to, I wanted to be a place where you have that opportunity to get some feedback from other crafters, other knitters, because it's been really helpful for me. Just being able to crowdsource some things like, should I do an SSK or should I do a K2 together or in this spot or something like that. So SSK meaning, of course, spooky, scary kooks. I was talking in the last stream about my plans to work down some of my whips because I have a whip problem. I have too many of them because I enjoy starting new things. So I went and did some tossing of the whips today and last week and just went through. I think my plan right now is to finish the biggest ones first, like the biggest, the ones that take up the most space, basically, because I want to reduce the amount of space that my stash takes up. So I'm working on this sweater now, and then the next sweater I will be working on will be my Good Guys pullover, which I do have here. I can show you in a little bit. But the Good Guys one takes up a lot of space because I think I overbought the yarn for it. I don't know yet. So there just seems to be a lot of skeins of yarn for one project. And it's taking up a lot of room in my boxes. It's hard to judge though because it's a striped sweater, and so I don't know like how much of each color I'll need. Like if it was just one color, I can pretty much estimate that. But because it's a bunch of different colors, I'm like, I don't know how much of each color I need, so I better just buy a lot of it. I'm on a quest to finish my sweater whips. So there's, I think in the last stream I said there was 6 and then I found an extra one. So I think there might be 7. Oops. But I'm working on this guy right now. It's absolutely beautiful. I've got about 7 inches of the body done. So I have another 9 inches of stockinette to do the ribbing. And then we'll go back and we'll do the sleeves. You can see that they're just kind of on stitch holders here. So I'm able to try them on. And I actually tried the sweater on earlier. It fits lovely. So I'll be able to go back and then whatever yarn I have left, I will make sleeves. Don't know how long the sleeves are going to be. They might just be a couple of inches. So yeah, if we take a look at my whip list, so these are my whips that I've got going on right now. And I have oh no, that's done. Haha, done. Going to just done. And I can't remember what day I finished it. But it was in May. Okay, 5 / something. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, plus the one that I found. So 6. I have 6 sweaters. 6 sweaters, 2 blankets, 2 shawls, a cape, a hat, and 3 pairs of socks? Yes. Those are my current whips right now. So I need to get some stuff done and out of my boxes, so I have fewer boxes of things. That's the goal. I'm not tracking my yardage in, yardage out. I'm tracking how much physical space my yarn is taking up. So my works in progress, my whips, works in progress, take up 2.5 bins at the moment. So if I can finish those 6 sweaters, it'll be down to half a bin. So that is the goal. We are doing all big sweaters. I'm hopefully going to be finished this in a couple of weeks, and then I'm going to be moving on to the project that's taking up the most room, just because of the sheer number of balls of yarn I have. I think I overbought for this project, but I feel like I overbought some colors and didn't buy enough of others, so I'm probably still going to have to order yarn to finish it, but we'll see. That is my Good Guys pullover. So this is the pattern for this is Flax by Tin Can Knits. I used the same pattern for this one. Same pattern, different yarn, different needle size. I didn't do the garter stitch on the sleeves, but I basically used the same pattern. I also did a folded collar instead of the ribbed collar. But I call this my Good Guys pullover because it's the shirt that Chucky wears in the Child's Play movies. I mean, his shirt is different. It's done as a drop shoulder, and it's obviously not knitted. It's like a woven fabric. But this is my take on it. So, yeah, again, I finished the yoke. I have a thing about doing yokes, and then I forget, and then I just like leave them. So I finished the yokes. The body and one sleeve are on a holder, and then I started the sleeve. I did like 2 rows of the sleeve. So, yes, this is going to be my Chucky sweater. I'm very excited. I actually bought some patches, so a couple of patches might go on here. The yarn for this, again, is Hobby Amigo, same one that I was using for the Bipyridae, and it's just a solid DK yarn, and I just picked out the closest colors to what I could... I spent a lot of time looking at pictures of Chucky, like really close-up, zoomed-in pictures of Chucky in order to recreate this. So, but I bought like 10 balls of white, and you can see that it's one white row it's like 4 rows of color and then 1 row of white. So I feel like I'm gonna have a ton of white left over, but I only have like 2 balls of the light blue, so I might need more light blue. I honestly don't know at this point. So that's another reason why this is the next one up, so I can just, everything I'm playing Yarn Chicken with, I think I'm going to do first. Yarn Chicken is a very fun game. It's when you're not entirely sure that you have enough yarn to finish something, so you just kind of knit a little bit faster and hope that the project blinks before you do. It's like playing chicken when you're driving the tractors towards each other and then you have to jump off. Anyways, Yarn Chicken. It's what we call it. There are lots of silly names for things in knitting. So I've got my Nakraga sweater, granny Afghan that I threatened my sister with, my Triceratops hoodie, this is the flax Good Guys pullover I've already done, sandworm socks, my writer's block cardigan, my DJ Music Man hoodie, my Muscle Burrow hat, my Stargazer cape, What Tomorrow Brings shawl, my Vintage Innovation socks, and my Knockwood shawl. So those are all of my whips. Yes. Until I open these boxes and find something that I forgot. This is so much smaller than my other project. So I was talking about these socks last stream. So this is actually a vintage pattern. The pattern itself is from the 40s, I want to say. And they were touted as innovation socks because they're a very strange construction. You knit them flat, and basically they're like in this checkerboard, it's called a pheasant eye pattern, but it's done with slip stitches. So I'm never working with both colors at the same time. This checkerboard effect is done with slip stitches. But basically this is the leg and this is the foot. And so I'm going to knit across into like this T shape and then seam this edge to that edge. I bumped it again. So seam this edge to that edge to make the tube for the leg, and then pick up stitches for the heel, and then knit the heel and the bottom of the foot and seam it to here. It looks really cool. I'm really excited about getting to that. So and the other thing that I love about this project, it's a vintage pattern, and these are vintage needles. So I don't know how well you can see that this needle has a severe bend in it. These needles are vintage arrows. Hi, Early. Yeah, we're doing big scritchy scratches. They're vintage arrows. They are a size 11, which is the old UK and Canadian sizing. So these needles, they are also vintage. They're metal needles, and they belong to my great-grandmother. I didn't inherit a lot of her knitting paraphernalia, mainly because I learned how to knit after she passed. Hi, Early, I'm trying to talk about your great-great-great-grandmother. Great-great-grandmother? Yes. So I don't have a lot of her knitting stuff. I have 2 pairs of her needles and that's it. So I was very happy that I was able to use these vintage needles for this vintage pattern. And the only reason that I'm able to do that is because these needles are, the pattern called for a size 12 or 13, which is slightly thinner, which I didn't have. But the yarn I'm using is slightly thicker, so once again, I had to do some math. So this is the yarn I'm using. It's not a vintage yarn, as you can probably tell. This is Atlas Happy Feet. There wasn't a colorway name, but it's like this bright neon rainbow. And then I'm just using a plain black to go, or a dark gray to go with it. The dark gray is Patton's Croy, in iron something. Maybe it might just be dark gray. Very, very good knitting streamer right now. But I thought it was coal, but it's actually the dark gray. So I love these socks, but I put them aside for Operation finish big projects first, because socks may be small, but they are still a lot of stitches. So they take me almost as long as a sweater does. Stiff sock yarn Croy. That's a good one, because that's very descriptive. Croy sock yarn. It's indestructible. As I was pulling out the innovation socks to show Moon, I realized that in this box of what should be only whips, I have at least 2 just bags of yarn that aren't active whips, so they probably need to be moved back into my regular stash. I don't know, I like reorganizing stuff. I like keeping my inventory managed, and that goes for knitting projects, the pantry, and any video games. I just like things neat and orderly, and especially with my stash, as I'm trying to reduce the amount of space it takes up. I'm kind of micromanaging that a little by making sure that I'm making the best use of my space. But unfortunately, as I'm sure has happened to many of us, I keep finding yarn in different places that not that I forgot I had, like I remembered, like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh yes, I know you exist. But it wasn't where it was supposed to be, and I hadn't made an accounting of it. So you're trying to get it all contained. Right now I have 4 bins of yarn and 2.5 bins of whips. So if I can get some of the bigger stuff out, then that'll be good. I have a bulky hoodie. I have actually 2 bulky hoodies on the needles. So those take up a lot of space. The yarn for one. Mickey says, honestly, my stash got bigger. Your mom gave you most of her yarn, but it's probably better for clothes and stuff, which is probably why I don't do much now. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard when you have a lot of yarn that just doesn't work for what projects you want to work on. I definitely dealt with a lot of that because I just had a lot of stuff. It's like, I didn't know what to do with it, and I wasn't like excited about using it, so I did end up destashing quite a bit. I like planning ahead, so I actually have a database of all of my yarn. I said that I don't really track yardage, and I don't, but I do track, like, I have, X yarn, and it's in a sweater quantity. And then I say, okay, so I've got this yarn that isn't attached to a project. What project can I attach it to? And then I kind of build a queue from there. So I'm going to quickly show you guys my Notion. Notion is a note-taking app that I use for just about everything. It is... and one of the functions of it is that you can do databases which are linked to each other. Okay, so this is my crafting log. I kind of tried to plan out what I wanted to get done on a month-by-month basis, but I don't really pay attention to it super well. I don't know how well you guys can see this. So like this is May, and I want to finish all of the flowers for Ali's Granny Squares, the front of Nakraga, Viperidae, which I did, and the body of the flax, which I'm going to do. But then if I scroll, okay. So down here in my 2024 project ideas, this is just stuff that I have yarn for, or stuff that I want to make. So there's this beautiful cabled sweater that I have the stuff to make that I want to make for a toot. And then just a whole bunch of different projects that I picked out that go with certain yarns in my stash. So for example, the cryptid cowl, I click on this, and I'm going to use my hobby Colorina for it, and I also have the pattern over here, so this there should be a file embedded there, but that's okay. Yeah, Hashtag should be sponsored at this point because I'm just like, I love Notion. Everyone should use Notion for everything. But it does help me keep organized. Should sponsor Cozy DH, yes. That's it for the video. If you like the content, please like the video. Subscribe for more cozy gaming and crafting highlights. If you want to see more, join the community on twitch.tv/thecozydh or check out our Discord. Thanks for watching, and keep twinkling below, Starshine.